Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott.
Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott.
Special thank you to our sponsors, the Gillette Home team of Keller Williams for all your realty needs, Boson Hub for all your digital media needs, and Smart Social Mastery and Cami Hoyza.
Hey.
Good morning, Mr. D. Scott Smith. And there we go. You know, I did it again. There we go. We'll get an actual background in there. That'll work. Welcome, Scott, from almost across the country.
Yeah. Midway here. I am in Busby Hollow, just outside Hendersonville, which is just north of Nashville. I'm here for a week. I'm here in the office of David Osk. He was our guest last week. And right there, that picture, that's Joanne Cash. She signed that picture along with a lot of other notable people. David knows a lot of folks. And in fact, we were driving around and I go, wow, looks like a nice house up there. And he goes, yeah, that's Ricky Skaggs' house. I go, well, he's got a good view. He goes, yeah, it's actually, the view is better from the back. Because he's been up there. So anyway, it's just good stuff. Amazing. But we're here. Yeah, here for the week. And excited.
I'm just glad you made it. And we want to welcome everybody to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott. We are here at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time every Wednesday. And Scott is here this morning at 9 a.m. his time. I had to adjust his time frame in his brain. But he made it, and that's what's good. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mentioned this in the backstage when we're on live on Instagram this morning, right before the experience, a half hour before we start this show, we go live on Instagram. I told Russ, I actually had dreams last night that I missed everything. And I finally, I'm looking at my watch and it's a quarter after, and I can't find my computer. And anyway, but here I am.
Well, there you are. You made it. And again, coming from it's Hendersonville in
Tennessee. Tennessee, yeah.
I just got word from one of our guests today that he is actually born in Hendersonville, North Carolina.
Yep.
So there's lots of Hendersonvilles rolling around.
Hendersonville's here in the South.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, listen, we are so excited that everybody's here joining us today on The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. Again, we're here every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and whatever time it is where you are. We're so glad you joined us. Whether you're live or on replay, do us a huge, huge favor right now and hit the share button. Share this out. Tell everybody we've got amazing people coming on today. We got Rachel Druckenmiller and Michael Bryant, two great friends, father and daughter, here with us today, and talk about amazing people doing amazing things. So as we talk about the experience life with them, we don't want people to miss it. Also, you can share this out by telling people about our YouTube page. Now, the way to get to our YouTube page is super simple. Just go to the experience.video. the experience.video, you go straight to our YouTube page. You can subscribe right now. Hit that subscribe button. What that will do is not only give you upcoming content, but also give you all the past content where we've had amazing people on in the past. And I believe both Rachel and Michael have been on in the past as well. I know they've been on one of my live streams or many of my live streams over time. But anyway, I just want to encourage you to please subscribe to that. Scott, anything else?
Well, I've mentioned to people in the past that one of the best things you can do is eliminate those subscriptions that you're not using anymore. So go ahead and cancel Netflix, cancel Disney Plus, cancel ESPN Plus, subscribe to the experience. There's almost 2 years worth of content every week. So you can just binge watch this weekend, binge watch the experience, and be inspired by the most remarkable people in the world.
That's it. That's it. You know, it's funny you bring that up because I was just checking out the experience on my TV the other day, because now with smart TVs, you get YouTube, and I was able to watch a couple episodes, and I was looking at thinking where we can improve and things we could do. So yes, you can sit back, relax, enjoy the experience. And speaking of which, I think we should get rolling.
Let's do it.
Bring Rachel in before we get going too far. What do you think?
Indeed. Let's do it.
Here she comes. Woohoo! Hey, Rachel.
Good morning.
Hi. Good morning.
How are you today?
Doing well. It's a week. I'm home. I've been traveling a week for the past 4 weeks, and I'm traveling again the next 3 weeks. So it's like a week at home where I don't have to get on a plane and I can just be here. It's actually, I love what I do for traveling, but it's also really nice to have some break weeks where I don't have to go anywhere.
Where have you been? Where have you been traveling?
I have been to State College, Pennsylvania, Burlington, Vermont, Nashville, Tennessee, Kansas City.
I just missed you.
Right, in Nashville, right? And then I'll be in, and I was in Kansas City last week, and then I'll be in, I was in Virginia, and then next week I go to Grand Rapids, Michigan, then Scottsdale, Arizona. So
when you make it to Oregon, make sure that you let Russ and I know.
That's right.
And we'll buy you dinner, coffee, something like that.
Sounds great.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, listen, Rachel, give everybody a little snapshot into who you are and the people that don't know you, which I'm sure are very few.
Well, I see myself, and I'm borrowing these words from a mentor and friend of mine, Rex Miller, that I see myself as a catalyst who unleashes what's possible in people so that they have a life of greater courage and boldness and less regret, doubt, and complacency. And I'm a keynote speaker and a workshop facilitator and leadership trainer. And so I travel. All this travel has been going around the country to speak to organizations, leaders, teams, associations about how to do all those things I just mentioned and how to live a life with greater courage and purpose and meaning and connection. And sometimes I, as you know, also integrate singing into these things because singing is a source of joy and it's a way that I unmute myself. So that's what I do. I'm married to my college sweetheart, been together 16 years and live in Baltimore, Maryland. And that's a little bit, and I'm working on my first song. I'm currently writing with a composer musician, my very first original song.
Congratulations.
Hey, very exciting.
You know, you can, if you want, we would love to have you debut that here on the experience. We'll figure out how that works, even if we have to do Experience Plus, because, people who are associated with the experience end up being nominated for Grammys and Dove Awards and things like that. So, just to kind of give you a little nudge there.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yes, Scott always likes to. Scott helps me brag about my children. He always likes to promote the fact that we are one of the few live streams that has a Grammy-nominated, Dove-nominated composer, producer that does the music for our show. So that is my son. So there you go.
That's awesome.
But anyway, in fact, my son will be down in Nashville. He's in New York currently. He's going to be flying down to Nashville to record a video for the Dove Awards with his band because they're nominated for 2 Doves this year. And then he's flying back to New York. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it'll be a lot of fun. So there you go. Maybe the two
So
of you will
debut it.
connect.
Bring it here. Bring it here.
And
It could happen.
For you.
This
We're
This
here
is
for
not
you.
theoretical. This is not theoretical. This is like
There you
very
go.
possible.
When you need that, if you need that song, if you need any mixing or mastering on your song, I'm sure he can help you out. So,
Cool.
well, listen, speaking of singing, I don't think of a better way before we bring on Dad, better known as i.e. Michael Bryant. Can we have a little song or a little taste? If it's not a taste of your new song, if you want to keep that secret, give us a taste of something inspirational for the morning.
Oh, something inspirational. I should have been prepared to realize that we were going to do this. There's a song that everyone's familiar with. It's an older song. And I'll sing just a couple snippets, like just a line of it, because I think it's relevant to what we need in the world right now. And I think you would both agree with me on this. So here we go. Okay. I'm just going to sing a snippet of it. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. There you go. We need a little more love in the world.
There you go. Okay, so who wrote that song?
Beautiful.
Jackie DeShannon, right?
Jackie DeShannon, you're right.
And who recorded it the first time?
My dad
I mean,
probably knows.
I tell you, that song I learned, my mom always played that kind of music when I was a kid. And I can't, honestly, I'll be honest, I can't remember. I remember Dionne Warwick singing it. I don't think she was the first one though. But yeah, I mean, some great music. What great lyrics too. It's so true. And speaking of love, somebody that you love that we should probably bring in, Mr. Michael Bryant in the house. Woohoo!
Hello, Michael.
Hello, how are you?
Life is
good. Good. So the question is, how are you? Who are you? And what do you want everybody to know about you?
Well, so I've gotten to the point where I'm now Rachel's dad is who I am at this point. I'm Rachel's dad. One of the things I do with clients when I haven't talked to somebody for a while, I will say to them, "So what did they tell you about me?" And this person said, "Well, they told me you're Rachel's dad." I said, "Okay, that's pretty much what we need to know." So when
Michael, I am with you on that. I said a lot of people know me as Ian or Bethany's dad or Christine's husband, and very few of you know me as Scott.
That's exactly right. And I adore being Rachel's dad. I love being Rachel's dad. I've loved being Rachel's dad since Rachel got here. So I always love that model. So when I'm not being Rachel's dad, I discovered about 42 years ago that I was unemployable. I couldn't actually hold a real job. So the only alternative is to create my own business. And so I am a professional unstucker. I used to think back in the day that was just sort of a kind of a sleight of hand I would use because you really couldn't market it. Yeah, you can. You can market anything now. So, unmuted, unstucker. I mean, there I am. So basically what I do is you can think of me as a corporate coach. I guess there's a couple of things that are my favorite things to do. One is to work with people one-on-one. I really like to get into the weeds. I really like to get into organizations, and I really like the process of change. I function as pretty much a coach and a guide, and that really dovetails into the other part of my life, because when I'm not doing this, I am this what I refer to as an ageless endurance athlete. It just means I'm this old guy that just never stopped exercising, and I just like to do these insane kinds of things. So this far into the flight, 42 years in climbing, I sort of have kind of just a lot of stories now, because I've just seen a lot of things. I've just been around a long time. So I really love going into organizations where I really have no idea, what the issue is going to be. And then I can just kind of shake fly balls out there with people, just because I just have done this for just such a long time. So I really enjoy that. If I kind of to summarize what I believe, there's sort of 3 or 4 things that I believe. One is I really do believe age is just a number. It's not a metaphor. I think it's absolutely just mind-boggling what the body can do when it's cared for. I just find that just fascinating, particularly as I age. I believe magic's real. I believe there are just magical things that happen in life, and I just think that's absolutely real. I think every day you just get up and it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm here again. Like I get to do this again. This is incredible. I just get to do life again. I just find that just it's kind of, mind-boggling, since I'm, I hope I'm not in the bottom of the ninth, but I think I'm past the sixth inning for sure. And, so, I get a lot more appreciative. If you hit the gold standard, let's say you live to be 100 and you have all your marbles, that's 1,200 months. That's it. That's what you have. You have 1,200 of these things. So I just really try to take a look at that and say, what am I doing with this gift that I've gotten every day? So I believe magic's real. I believe there is no expiration on dreams. I really do. I think as long as you're in there, like slogging away, like anything is possible. I really believe anything is possible. So, I kind of go into life and I really try to focus on being thankful and grateful on a regular basis. And that's just how I live my life. And that's how I try to help people move from wherever they're kind of stuck to unstuck. And then the last thing I do, I just love to tell my story of my endurance career to people. And just, trust me, when I walk in the room, I'm the last person you think does what I do. If I've heard it once, I've heard it 10 times. I'll never again judge a book by its cover. I'm like, yeah, you just never know. So that's my story.
Well, I love that 1,200 month deal. I talk about the 1440 club, because that's how many minutes there are in every day, 1,440. I said, and we use every one of those minutes every day. Yeah. Because there are no rollover minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. And this is not a dress rehearsal either. It's not like every day you get up, like game on. Like, this is not in the dugout. Like this is, you may decide not to participate, but the game's going to go on with or without you. So.
Yeah. I love that, what you just said there, Michael. When you wake up, game on. And what I like about what you said in the very beginning was when you were kidding about being unemployable and you had to do your own business. The thing is, it doesn't matter. We don't need to wait for other people. Mm-hmm. We just need to forge ahead and do what we know that we can do. And Rachel, you've been raised by such a great man here. How has he really influenced all the amazing things you're doing in your life? Oh, you're muted. Unmute.
Branding. I was trying to honor the space.
That was so good. Hey, that was a cheap plug there.
Unmute yourself. High fives. That does happen quite frequently. And I think people think I do it on purpose. And I'm like, nope, just completely. And yay, Tim Sohn is here. Sounds amazing. Hey, Shannon and Chris. One of the things that was really helpful for me growing up in a home where both of my parents run their own business is that I had the expectation that work should be something that you enjoy, that it shouldn't be a slog, that you shouldn't have to wait until you retire to start living your life. And so I had this unique gift of growing up in a home where I didn't see people come home defeated by their boss or come home exhausted by their coworkers or hating their job. Like that was never my perspective of work. And so once I got into the workforce, I figured, perhaps a bit naively, that I should just be able to kind of do what I want. Yeah. And so my first job, my first internship was at a company my dad used to do consulting with. And he knew the CEO and was like, hey, I bet he'd hire you to do something. And I was like, all right. And so I started working at this company as an intern in 2003. And I stayed there. I worked there full time for 13 years. And I was what people refer to as an intrapreneur, where I was very much, I had the entrepreneurial spirit, but the safety net of working for somebody else. And so I got to experiment with a lot of things. And that's how I really discovered my love of speaking. I grew up in a home where my dad watched Oprah and listened to Tony Robbins. And so I was exposed to this possibility mindset from the time I was very little. And that was just something that always has stuck with me. And so, when I decided, it's funny, I remember there were several times along the path that I wanted to leave my job. but I maybe wasn't ready yet. And I remember my dad would say, you'll know when it's time. You'll know when it's time. And he said, do you want to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, the way you want to do it, like with whom you want to do it? And I said, yeah. He said, well, that person doesn't typically work for somebody else. So 3.5 years ago, I was like, you know what? Enough is enough. I had been doing keynote speaking. I'd been getting asked to speak more and more and more. I was getting asked to speak at retreats. And I didn't want to be held back anymore or limited by what my job said that I should be doing and my role as a director of well-being. And so in 2019, the fall of 2019, after going through a professional speaking training that really ignited me, started helping me to integrate singing into my speaking, which I'd never thought of doing before. All of that collectively kind of mounted to a point where I was like, it's time to go. And so in the fall of 2019, I left my full-time job of 13 years and started my own business, Unmuted. And there's been no looking back, despite a lot of adversity and challenges along the way.
I love that. I love that. I always tell people that if you work for someone else, it's actually like being an independent contractor with only one customer. And your income becomes binary. Either 1, you have a job, or 0, you don't. 1, you have money, 0, you don't.
Yeah. And now I get lots of customers, and I work with my former employer. Best of both worlds. I'm like, shoot, I can still work with the people that employed me with a consistent paycheck. And now I can also work with whoever the heck I want and do whatever the heck I want. And it's very liberating.
Well, and I love that, because when I transitioned from the corporate world to my own business, that's really something that I love, that I can actually be so intentionally choosy about who I'm working with and what I'm doing. And a lot of times people think you get in business and you're desperate for anything. Yeah, no. I'm actually, I joke, I'm 58 years young. And I say I'm too old, though, to mess around with people I don't want to work with. I want to enjoy life. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I want to, like Michael, just like you taught Rachel, I want to enjoy what I'm doing all day long, not wait for retirement, not wait for tomorrow. I want to enjoy today.
Yeah, that's a great point. People have asked me over the years, are you going to retire? And I said, well, retire to what? And like what, we changed the verb. The verb in the 19th century was a moving toward verb. Retire to the parlor, retire to the bedchamber. Now it's a moving away from term, but people oftentimes don't know what they're moving toward when they move away. So I don't want to do this anymore. What do you want? I have a friend and he retired. I said, what do you do? He said, I play chess and I read. I said, no, what do you do? Are you like a grandmaster? Like, what do you do? I mean, it's kind of like people say, well, you can do what you want to do. I said, well, I decided about when I was 30, I was going to do what I wanted to do. So why would I not? I mean, I talk to interesting people about interesting things. I mean, why would I not want to do that? I mean, that's, it uses my knowledge, it uses my intellect. As I was listening to Rachel, it reminded me of a story when Rachel was about 4. So my office has been in the home since forever. So these children grew up with strangers wandering in and out of the house from the time they were born. So they paid no mind to these people going upstairs. And when Rachel was about 4, we were sitting at her little table and we were drawing. And she said, this is my most favorite way to play. So I said to her, well, do you know why Daddy works? And she said, yes, so that we can have money to buy food and toys. And I said, well, that's one of the reasons Daddy works. I said, but the main reason Daddy works is that this is Daddy's most favorite way to play. That this is how you like, this is Daddy's play. This is what Daddy likes to do. And I really wanted to instill that into all of the children very, very early, that, this becomes when you have certain gifts and you basically withhold them, right? I adore Rachel's concept of muting yourself. It's not about you. You think it is, but it's not about you. It affects you, but it's about all of these amazing things that you get to give to the rest of the world. That if you sit there and, we tend to go as far as our fears let us, and fear is almost always about the perceived future. It's a story we make up in our head about what's going to happen. And so what happens is when you go into this mode of staying stuck and muting yourself and talking yourself out of things, what you basically do is you forget that it's really just not about what you're not doing. I mean, these amazing impact that you can have on other people. I mean, Rachel comes back and tells me stories, and it's just mind-boggling. And it's like, look at all these people that you've touched. I mean, how humbling that is, and what an honor that is to affect people. So I really encourage people that are out there saying, well, you know, it really doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. You know, I mean, I'll say to people, imagine if Gandhi had decided to not do Gandhi. He did all he did is he did Gandhi. He did such a great Gandhi. Nobody could have done Gandhi like him. Imagine Mother Teresa decided not to do Mother Teresa. Imagine how the world would be different. Then imagine if everybody out there, if you just didn't decide to tell your story. I mean, that's one of the things I love that Rachel does. She just tells her story. You know, I just think it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, you know, I what I love about what you said there is people really need to go where their passion and where their heart is in life. And life is so much better. People that work grueling jobs and hate every moment of it to get somewhere often don't make it where they're trying to get to. And instead of that, enjoying the experience of life, yes, plug and pun intended, the experience of life every day. And, you know, Rachel, when I speak to young people, one of the main things that I always remember to tell them is if you don't love what you're doing, quit. And I always just let that sit there because then they all look at me like, I can't quit. I can't quit. I'm like, well, maybe you should put a plan in place before you quit. But the whole idea is don't get stuck. Don't be a person that's stuck, as Michael, you're telling people to be unstuck. Don't be stuck in something that you hate and have a miserable life. And Rachel, I'm sure that you, with your positive messages, are always promoting people to be passionate about what they do, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think encouraging part of it. I mean, I remember I had a situation. My dad's always my like, business coach and Yoda guru guy. And this was probably in 2009. And I was feeling challenged in my job. I was like I was a kind of an admin assistant role. And I had copped a bit of an attitude. Like I was really annoyed I wasn't being challenged. I wasn't being able to do the things that I wanted to do. I was feeling held back. I was feeling frustrated. I didn't have clarity around what I wanted to like be really focused on, or I wasn't able to fully do the things I wanted to do as the core focus of my job. And I remember my boss at the time was the executive assistant. And I remember at one point she asked me to do something that I thought was her job, like her expense report for her boss. And in my mind, I was like, well, that's your job, right? I'm not the executive assistant, you are. And so I said, that's not my job. And one of the things I know my dad's taught me is like the quickest way to like not have a job is to tell somebody that's not my job. And I called him. I was like righteously indignant. I was like, can you believe she asked me to do this? I was so upset and very frustrated. That was just one of many things. And yay, Shannon from Maryland. We're also in Maryland. And I saw that pop up. And so he said to me, he's like, she's your boss. Like if she asks you to like pick up her coffee, like, you got a pretty good gig there, in terms of the time off that I had, the working generally with nice people, having a short commute, getting to do certain things that I enjoyed and having good benefits. And so at the time I was like, and I almost lost my job. There was a conversation I had with my boss, with my boss's boss, that was basically like, we don't have enough for you to do here to do wellness full time. We'll support you to get another job within the organization or to get a job somewhere else. We'll give you like 3 months. And then I was like, oh, shoot. And so I found other ways to be valuable. And I said, I was a writing tutor in college. Let me just see what they need for their RFPs, the proposals they're putting out. I'll edit them. They didn't have anyone that did that. I was the youngest person at the company that was adept at things like PowerPoint and other Microsoft products. And so I started to be the person that I basically created jobs for myself that had nothing to do with what I actually wanted to do because I wanted to keep my job. And so I think one of the things that's important to recognize is you're not going to always like every aspect of what you're doing for work. But if the package is enough of what you want, then see what you can do to increase the amount of things you're doing that you enjoy so that they can sort of start to crowd out a little bit the things that you don't. But really ask yourself, if the overall package is good enough, then maybe I stick around here. And if, to your point, Russ, if it's like it's eating away at you and it's like slowly killing your soul, which is what it eventually did to me, then you owe it to yourself to be curious and say, all right, well, what could I pursue, or what aspects of what I'm doing could I lean into more, or how could I continue to do more of this thing that I love in a way that benefits the organization that I'm working for? How can I find a way to make it a win-win And then little by little, I was doing that more and more and more and more. And then that's how I fell into, speaking is the thing that I love. But that wasn't even what I pursued. It was sticking through it when it was hard and I didn't necessarily like everything I was doing, finding ways to be valuable, and then exploring different paths that lit me up. And then that's how I ended up doing what I'm now doing full time. So I do think it's important to sometimes like recognize that you may not like everything, but that doesn't mean that the whole package isn't okay for the season you're in.
So once again, Mr. Responsible Host,
I know, I was about to say.
I was gonna say we great advice here on the experience. Talk back to the boss, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Well, Rachel, I tell you, as we wrap things up here, I just love what you're talking about. The whole picture of life. If things are going great overall, and we're not going to like every little detail, but you know what? Get creative with life is what I always tell people too. Get creative with what you're doing, because as you can move towards the things that you do love more and not so much towards the things you don't. And a lot of times that experience and that journey of life makes things so much better and moves away from the things that you don't like, even if you stay within the same job or things you're doing. So anyway, being the responsible host, I got to wrap things up. So we're going to go ladies first again. And Rachel, we'll start with you. Give us your last words, what you want people to remember today, and how do people get in touch with you?
So last words, I would say, be willing to take a courageous step forward, even if it's a small one, to create more of the life that you want to be living and not the life other people expect of you. And ask yourself, what would it look like if I were doing a little bit more of what I want and what I need and what lights me up, and a little bit less of what everyone else expects of me? What would that look like? It's a brave question to sit with. And then the way to connect with me would be here on LinkedIn, also my website, which is unmutedlife.com. And then on Instagram at unmutedlife is what I would say. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. You bet. Awesome. Michael, you're next.
I would say that each day you're writing the story. And if the story isn't the way that you want it to do, rewrite the script. It's your script. You make it up every day as you go along. None of us know what we're doing. We're all making it up. We just look cool, but we're all making it up. We know that. We just hope other people don't see it. That's what we're trying to be cool, but we know we're making it up. So that's the idea. You're making up as you go along. Make up what you love. I mean, that's just as easy. To get in touch with me at unstucker.com and Michael at unstucker.com, and of course on LinkedIn. And thanks so much for having me and letting me spend time with you, great guys, and my lovely young one there.
Well, you know what? I tell you, what a blessing to have the two of you on together. And I'm telling you, it is amazing the attitude you both have. It's easy to see where Rachel got all of her great wisdom, her great inspiration, Michael. And we didn't even really get into all the things you do as far as Ironman and all those things today, but you are an amazing inspiration. And I just want to thank you both for being here today. Really do. You both have been amazing. And if you've been watching today, everybody, don't forget all of the connection links for both Rachel and Michael are in the comments, in the show notes. You just click on them. Just click on them and you go right to them. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, unmute yourself and join Rachel. Help her if you're feeling stuck. Get unstuck. Call Michael. There's so many things you can do. Take action in your life. And I think you will see so many great things are possible. And we just want to thank you both again for being here today. We're going to send you out to the green room as we say goodbye, but hang tight for just a second. All right. All right, man, I tell you, It gets better every week, Scott.
Yeah, again, great advice. I think about my father. He talked about people who wished their lives away. They said, I wish it was 5 o'clock. Oh, I wish it was Friday. I wish I was on vacation. I wish I was retired. If that's you, then get unstuck and get unmuted.
Amen. Amen to that. And if you want more of this great, amazing content about the experience of life, go to the experience.video where you can get all of our past content as well as notices about upcoming content on YouTube. We'd appreciate you if you subscribe there today. That'd be so awesome. And we just want to do a huge thank you to everybody who was here today. You guys are so awesome. And I know many of you probably are watching on replay as well, which is great. That's great about this medium. If you cannot watch at the time we're on, you can watch it another time. And we appreciate you. Please, again, share this out. Share it now as you're watching, because you know what? It's such great content with Rachel and Michael today. And we just want to thank them and all of you for being here today. And with that, Scott, I think we're going to call it good and say goodbye for today.
But I want to remind people, Friday is the October edition of the Global Tea Break, the virtual Global Tea Break, international networking. It's free, globalteabreak.com.
There you go. Global.
We'll be done.
Yes. And don't forget, because that will be also in the show notes and in the comments today. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate you all for being here today. Don't forget to enjoy the experience of life every day. And until we see you again, have a great day and a great life, and
enjoy the experience. That's Russ.
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.